So I was out to dinner at the local pub with the kids the other night, ran into some friends, some school friends, and I offered the older kids, $1 for half an hour of babysitting this younger, like 1-year-old that they had with them.
Can you fill us in? How old were the older kids approximately?
Like 6, right?
Okay, great.
I was like, kids, $1 for half an hour babysitting. We could see them the full time. They were just pushing him around in the pram and entertaining him. All good. They did a really good job. Anyway, at the end, I was like, cool, when I see you at pickup, I'll give you $1. Billy, who was the kid's friend. Anyway, I get to school pickup on Monday and there's Billy and he's like, you got my $1?
Oh, he's hit you up.
Hit me up. I'm like, oh, no, God, I forgot all about that. I was like, okay, sorry, Billy. Sorry, I'll definitely bring it next time. I will remember next time. Next day, Billy, there he is. You think I've remembered the $1?
Of course you haven't, because
Never
who
gonna happen.
carries cash around?
Nobody has cash. I don't think I've had cash on my person in probably 3 years.
No.
So anyway, this goes on, and I'm starting to really resent the sight of Billy. He's like always popping up in my eye line wherever I am at school pickup.
Well, no one's resenting the side of you more than him right now. He's like, this bitch promising me $1.
And honestly, he's being very sweet about it. He's not really trying to shake me down. He's just like looking at me with his big eyes, like, you know.
Puppy dog eyes?
Yeah, puppy dog eyes. Like, you got my $1, lady? And eventually, I remember before pickup yesterday, like 20 minutes before, I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm going to see Billy. I'm starting to really get scared of Billy and I need to find $1. So I'm like upending every handbag I have in my cupboard. I'm like looking in the car. It's giving Tooth Fairy. And I couldn't even find 20 cents, let alone $1. So I grab 100,000 Indonesian rupiah, which is the only cash I could find in the house.
No, I prefer no cash.
That's $10. Oh, that's 10 Australian dollars.
Unacceptable. What the heck is he going to do with that? And the gross assumption that he's due to be in Bali any minute now?
I'm sorry. Is this not like a Sydney Sider kid? I'm sure within the next 12 months that kid's going to be in Bali. Anyway, he accepted it very graciously.
Well done.
Thank you. I know, I was pretty proud of myself. That's like, that could go a long way in Bali as opposed to $1.
Okay.
But yeah, don't be promising cash to these kids. They will hold you accountable.
That kid is going to be like the head of a mob gangster scenario soon, just hitting people up for cash. Also, I had the memory of an elephant when I was that age.
Yeah.
Quick little side story before we get into the app, but there was this one night, I remember it vividly. My parents were wasted. They were blind drunk with their friends having a grand old time, and they wanted me to buzz off. Particularly my stepdad wanted me to buzz off because I was at that annoying age. And he said, I'll give you $50 if you leave.
Pineapple.
Yeah, generous. And I made him sign a contract. I hand wrote a contract. Genius. And he signed it. And of course, the next day, he couldn't remember it. And
he was blackout.
He was blackout drunk. And I unscrolled this contract.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, like Billy, I badgered him for weeks until he coughed up the pineapple.
Did he try to get out of it?
He did. And I was like, not letting you out of this one. So, Billy's my spirit animal.
Oh my gosh, that's my future. I can see it now. I'm going to go broke trying to get rid of my children.
Should we get into the episode?
Let's do it.
We have 1,000 things to do, but we'd rather chat to you. With emails and meetings and husbands and kids, we don't have time for this. Just what you need, two basic bitches with a podcast.
Hello and welcome to We Don't Have Time for This. I'm your host, Gemma Pranita, aka Gemma Peanut on the gram, along with my co-host.
I'm Kate Revs.
Don't lie.
You may have noticed that you're like, something is a bit off about Revs' voice today. That's because I'm actually Lou Reeves. I'm her sister.
It's Sister Lou on the mic in the hot seat. Welcome, Lou.
I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you for stepping up and joining us today.
So happy to.
DLs, just for a little backstory, Revs has disappeared into the edit cave in preparation for our live show. She's in the back cave.
I was wondering why I was here.
Yeah.
Is that where she is?
Yeah, we've given her a day because, she needs the hours.
You guys are busy at the moment.
We sure
Got
are.
a lot on.
She did an episode with Americano, you might remember 2 weeks ago if you were listening in then. And then we thought it'd be fun to swap seats again. And this time, me and Sister Lou having a chat.
How exciting.
So, Louie.
So, Jam.
Did you know that every week we do polls
Of
on
course.
Instagram? And off the back of Americano's episode, people were quite blown away about, first of all, his lack of an ick. Like, he has never experienced an ick.
Yeah.
But one of the questions we asked in the poll was, can you really ever come back from an ick? And I'm interested in your answer. So here are the categories. A, you can grow to love an ick. B, you can grow to tolerate an ick. Or C, nope, all attraction lost. Where do you sit?
It's so tricky. I think that like once you see something like that, it's like ew. But it depends where it pops up in your relationship, I reckon. If it's like early days, if you're just dating someone and they do something icky, it's like, oh, you're not the person I thought you were.
So is it an instant red flag? I'm out. See ya. Nice knowing you. Goodbye.
Yeah, like I think if you're grossed out, you're grossed out.
Okay.
It's like this dude that I was dating. I actually went on a 36-hour day recently. It was really interesting. And this guy was so green flag, like a million green flags. Like it was just great. Seemed like the perfect dude. About like one day into the date, he started.
So early, Lou. So you're like one day into this new relationship.
I know. But
He had a million green flags.
I know. Look, there were a couple of things. But the one thing that icked me, if we're talking icks, was he started telling dad jokes.
Yeah, it's a bit ick.
It was really icky, and it was like it was quite sweet at first. The first couple of times he did it, I was like, "Oh, that's cute and funny, I guess." And then he kept on dropping these weird dad jokes.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
What is an example
Okay.
of an icky dad joke?
Like we were in Byron, right? Because that's where he lives, and I'm really into trees.
Fun fact.
That could be an ick from the other side.
Ain't that the truth? How middle-aged? Keep going.
I'm really into trees, and if
Like
you've
tree
been to-
species?
Yeah,
or?
no, I'm a massive nerd for a tree, like a
Okay.
big tree, different varieties of tree.
Yes.
And if you've been to Byron, you'll know it's it's hot spot for trees, like lots of different kind of like
Well, different
tropical
species
trees. Exactly.
from Sydney
Just, like,
trees.
there's so many like little areas where you're like, oh my God, look at that parent. Anyway, I was doing a lot of that. I was like, oh my God, look at that. Oh my God, there's a pandanus. Oh my God, look at those three palms together. And then he was like, would you ever consider branching out into this as a career?
Oh.
And honestly, it felt like an assault on my intellect.
Oh, babe.
It felt like I'm not.
You're not on the same level.
We're not on the same level when it comes to humor.
And did he really put emphasis on the branching out?
Yes, exactly like that.
Oh.
And that I found it so icky. And I was like, oh. And he was a dad, so I can see it working in like certain scenarios, but not when you're on a date with a grown woman. Like,
I get it, but
it was cringe. It was just the epitome of cringe, and it icked me out.
Lou, you said
massively.
it yourself. There is a version of this where
Yeah.
he's like, I dated this chick. She had a million green flags, but girlfriend could not stop talking about trees. It kind of gave me the ick. Like,
I get it.
Right?
I get it. That's fine. But yeah, it was enough to absolutely kill the vibes. That and a few other things. To be
dad
honest.
jokes. I feel like if you're in a long-term relationship, you can tolerate your
This is
partner
what I
throwing out
mean.
dad jokes.
If your partner's throwing out dad jokes from day one and you don't mind dad jokes, then it's absolutely fine. You might be really adorable. But that's what I mean. Like, what if your husband icked you out? You know, you guys have been together for forever.
Oh, my husband
Has he
has
thrown out any new icks?
100p. So can I just say, going back to the poll real quick. So you reckon, nope, all attraction lost. There's no coming back from an ick.
Yes.
Okay.
Talking early days. though.
Okay, sure. Now, as someone who is nearly 10 years married, I selected you can grow to tolerate an ick. I could never grow to love an ick. That's
No.
pushing it way
No.
too far. I don't find icks cute. I can't like reinterpret it in my brain or refile it as like, oh, it's actually cute. No. But I will low key tolerate it. So my husband's one of many icks that I've learnt to tolerate is when he
It's already funny.
he doesn't even know
What? Oh God.
that this is an ick
News
of
to
mine.
him.
It's news to him if he's listening. I love you, baby. But when you come out of the ocean or you've had a long surf or a swim, the way he tries to get water out of his ears.
Oh.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Ick.
You know, right? It's a sideways head banging.
Oh, ick.
And he pulls this sort of face, sort of leans his mouth, everything crunches to one side of his face, and then he headbangs to the side to get the water out. And I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? This is so embarrassing.
You would see that a lot because you guys spend a lot of time in the water. You would see that all the time.
This is what I mean by I've tolerated it.
Okay, so like that's from a day one that like, you know, you've seen that. It's like, cool, that's not going anywhere, that ick. Like you've seen it, you have filed it away, you haven't told him, that's not going to go anywhere.
Also, I can't ask him to stop.
Yeah.
Because then he would be like, what will you have me do?
Question.
Go.
When you first saw this, were you like, oh, because you were probably all loved up in the early days, you know, when like you could love like a pimple on their face, like it could be like a work of art. You want to lick it, you know, but then like, you know, him coming out of the water, him shaking were you like, oh, it's kind of cute. And then the more you get to know him, the more you're like, ick.
The first time he did it, I was like, are you having a stroke? Like I was so, I didn't understand. I was like, what's happening? Yeah. What are you doing? And he was like, oh, I'm trying to get the water out of my ears. And I was like, oh, it's functional. Oh, this is just part of him. And it's a method and a practice and I can't intervene or interfere.
Look, I think it just depends how invested you are in someone and how much you love them.
Well, imagine if the fact that I put foundation on my face with my hands was his ick.
Oh.
Because you know how some women are like, oh my God, never. I apply foundation with a sponge. I feel that way about
beauty blenders.
I think they're gross.
Yeah, they're gross.
They
are a breeding ground for bacteria.
Ick.
Ick. I only use my fingers.
Yeah, but I'm very good at putting myself in someone else's shoes. Yeah. Like, let's just say, hypothetically, Hubs was like, ew, she applies foundation with her bare hands. Never. And I don't know if she washed her hands, then I'd be like, well, soz, that's my process. Yeah. And you got to learn to live with it.
I think that men are way ickier than women, just as a general rule.
Definitely.
I think I know a lot of women who identify massive icks in men, and I think men are just happy to live their life and like enjoy us for the gorgeous creatures that we are.
Not to turn this into a patriarchy bashing session. However, do you think that's because from a young age, girls are taught to be more respectful in society? You know, like we have a higher level of self-awareness when it comes to how we exist in the world, to be likable, to have people-pleaser tendencies.
Yes, 100%.
Whereas men, I think you're right, just go about living their lives with zero fucks.
Yeah.
And so full icks on display.
Full icks everywhere. Yeah, I think that's probably definitely what is going on here.
So just revisiting the poll for one last time, did you know that of all our DLs who clicked that poll, 79%, Lou, were in my camp, that they too can grow to tolerate the ick.
Yeah, I think that if we want society to continue and function, then I think there's going to have to be a bit of that.
Because only 13% said, nope, attraction lost, never to be returned.
I've got a weird one.
Go on.
What about, I can think of this happening with someone in my past, where something that you thought was really cute then became an ick for you.
Do you have an example? We want hard examples.
Okay, well, yeah, there's a voice that my ex would use. Okay. And in the early days, it was super cute. There was like a cutesy kind of like, oh, it wasn't like a baby voice, but it was almost a baby voice. And then towards the end of our relationship, this voice, which I had once
like
found
nails on a chalkboard?
Oh my God, I wanted to rip his voice box out. It was so disgusting.
Well, I think that's the decline of your relationship.
There's probably something else going on
Loss
there.
of love, respect.
And that's when you're getting to the end. When you get into the bitter end and like there's nothing that you like about this person anymore.
So this is a lesson for our DLs to observe yourself. Yeah. Was there once an ick that you found cute, which then transformed into a tolerance that then ended up in full-blown contempt?
Because now you're heading for divorce court.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. What do you know? Back on dad jokes for a second.
Yes.
You eye roll.
Yeah.
I remember very vividly when I was working on Neighbours, there was a fellow cast member that I worked with. I will not name him, but he was full of them. And it was so, and you know what? When I look back at 24-year-old Jem, I was such a placater of that kind of behavior. I was all the time because in my head, I was like, oh, this is really embarrassing for you, but I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. So I'm going to I'm an enabler of dad jokes. Anyway, he would come up to me in the mornings and he would go, how are you traveling, Jem? And I'd be like, yeah, good, mate. You? And he'd reply, first class. And I just do a little vomit in the back of my
I
throat.
bet that you actually went, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh.
He used to do other things like put breath mints in between his teeth and then like do this weird like trick where he'd like flick it up in the air and catch it in his mouth. Like it was a party trick. And I was like, mate, it's 5 a.m. We're going into hair and makeup.
Soon,
It's like,
too early.
I'm not ready for this party trick. We haven't drunk alcohol.
Your breath mint party trick. No thanks, buddy.
Oh dear.
All right. I've been waiting my whole life to say this.
Go on.
You don't know what I did.
She's waited her whole life to say this sentence and she blew it. And take 2. No pressure, but get it right.
You know what I don't have time for?
What don't you have time for, Lou?
Unsleep training my kids.
Unsleep training.
Yeah. Look,
Unpack that for us.
I worked really hard when my kids were babies to sleep train them. Come at me. I honestly don't care. It was the best thing for our family. It was so good. It worked a treat. My youngest slept through the night from 7 weeks old. Yes, I'm that bitch. Yeah, I was that bitch.
Wait, because of sleep training or just naturally was a unicorn? Because Raffle was a unicorn baby.
Yeah, look, probably a bit of both.
Okay.
Because I did the exact same thing with my second born and he was a little bit later, but still gorgeous sleeper. Slept in their own beds. We had like 3 glorious years of just sleep. It was so good.
Bliss.
So since I've become a single mum, there's been a bit of guilt. And there's been a little bit of night creeping. And I'm in a king bed on my own. What am I supposed to do? Like, what am I going to take my kids back to bed? Like, there's plenty of room. But over time, this has kind of changed and morphed into, Mummy, can we fall asleep in your bed? And then you can carry us back to our beds. And then we'll sleep in our beds. And then that turned into, I'm just too tired. My 5-year-old is now too heavy for me to put him in his top bunk. Like I literally can't lift him up there anymore.
It's actually dangerous as well. Trying to fling them into a top bunk.
And also like twice a night I just hear this like ba-dump, boom, 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 boom. You know.
He's back.
He's back. Here they are. One comes in at 11, one comes in at 1. And I'm in this bed, but it's giant, but for some reason I'm in the middle and there's one on each side and I've got a knee in my chest and a knee in my back and I'm sandwiched in between these 2 kids that just want to like be on my face.
So how's that quality sleep going?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely paying for it now. We all get it at some stage. And this is my stage. I've let it go too far now. It was so cute. It was lovely, to be honest. At first, it was lovely to have 2 little warm bodies in my bed. We were like little bears. And now I'm like, I have made a rod for my back and I need to undo this quickly. Add that in to the fact that Max is now, he's kind of getting out of nappies, but he's kind of not. And we have got accidents happening like most nights in my bed. I had to
stripping a king bed.
Well, this is why I got one of those the Midnight Gang bed mates.
Yes.
I got one of them for my king size bed.
I get it because stripping a king bed is a bastard of a job at 1, 2, 3 in the morning.
And I've got my beautiful bed threads sheets that I don't want to wash every single day, right? That's actually been the biggest game changer. But
shout out to Midnight Gang. We're huge fans over here too.
I never thought I'd be buying one for my
for your king
adult
bed. But here you are.
But here I am. And I know that I have to do something. I just don't know what I have to do. I have to get them going to sleep in their own room. I have to get them sleeping in there through the night.
Question.
Yeah.
Is there an option for you to not be in the middle?
Yeah.
Because I think being in the middle is the biggest punish. So
it just doesn't seem fair when you're in that position. So no, they both want to be next to me and
they fight.
Yeah. Do you know what we need to do? We need to sit down and have like a family campfire where I'm like, guys, I literally cannot be sleeping in between you 2.
So I had this chat.
You did?
Yes.
With your kids?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because not a single parent, but like you, have a solo king bed situation.
Elite.
And the kids are needy of their mum. And I found myself in a similar situation where I just went, oh, fuck it. It's too hard.
Yeah.
I'll just let them sleep with me. And I was getting worse sleep than if I would just walk them back to bed or carry them back to bed, whatever it is.
Which really, that would take 2 minutes of your night, wouldn't it? Like it feels like too much when you're waking up.
I know.
Like, oh, and you get that like scared jump awake thing and then you're like, oh my God, okay, they're here, just pull you in and okay, it's actually kind of nice.
But if you were to compare that to 2 hours of crappy in and out sleep, no deep REM, I would take the marching them back into their bed thing.
100%.
However, like you, it's a losing battle with Rafa, with
Yeah.
one child.
Yeah.
So Rafa falls asleep in my bed. She sleeps in my bed every night.
Yeah.
That's just the way it's been.
So does her bed just stay made?
Perfectly
Or-
made.
At all times?
Every day. When we moved house, Louis, I even put them into the same room,
Yeah.
hoping that she would feel more secure because she's scared of the dark
Yeah.
and she's kind of touched a nerve of my own childhood fear. I was
Feels.
terrified of the dark. So when she's like, I'm scared of the dark, the shadows were moving, I'm like, oh, I empathize deeply. Come to mama.
It's scary.
It is. Whereas Iggy has no fears of the dark, but he just gets jealous of Raph.
And this is the problem.
Yeah.
They both want to be touching me. And if I they'll both be asleep and I'll notice that, oh, look, there's like a meter of room over there on that side of Max. I'm like climbing over him and I'm over there. And then like a few minutes later, I hear Tommy go, Mummy, I can't, you're not next to me. And
Oh, so they wake.
Yeah. And then there's this big bloody fight that ensues. And I'm like, and I end up back in the middle. Like, I am their bitch.
Yep.
It's so bad. It's so bad. I don't know where to start.
And are they hot water bottles where you're like
Yeah.
sweating? Because that was my
Honestly,
issue.
It's winter. It's kind of nice at the moment,
Okay.
but like it's not okay in summer. It's just look. There are just so many issues. I don't know where to start, and I lie there awake at night sometimes thinking, how did I get here?
Yeah.
How did I get myself into this position?
Well, I can see how
Yeah,
you got
it
here.
was
You were in
slow.
survival
Yes,
mode.
yes.
And separation, divorce guilt is a very real thing. I saw your sister go through it. You know, I remember Rebsy just going through this season of just buying
Yep.
just because gifts for her kids all the time. We won't mention Bobo. But, you know, spontaneous purchases just to fill a void in her kids' hearts in that moment. And it was that short-term fix. Like, I'll
Yeah.
just buy you what you want because I
Yeah.
feel bad.
I'm so sorry I've ruined your lives.
Yeah.
I
Well,
know.
you know, and a lot of people can relate to that. That's part of the journey of going through separation, I imagine, right? The initial guilt overcomes you and then you do these things and then you go, hang on, this isn't actually aiding or supporting my kids at all. It's turning them into potential brats.
Exactly.
And right now you're a bed bitch. So what is the plan?
Well, we're about to move. So
Okay. Fresh start.
Fresh start. So I'm thinking fresh start. We're going to be downsizing into a apartment. So we're going to be closer. Our rooms will be closer together.
Okay.
They'll probably be right next door to me. And I'm going to make their room so cool and so nice.
Are you going to continue with bunk beds? Is
Yeah,
that working?
Just because that's what we have. I'm
Great.
thinking we just do that. More
Yep.
space on the floor, you know. I'm going to get one of those projectors that like shines galaxies on the ceiling. I feel like that
Amazing.
would be so cozy.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Do you have a Yoto?
No, I desperately want a Yoto.
okay.
Do you know what we do at the moment? It's
What?
so silly. We I've just got one of those UE Boom speakers and I leave that in the room and I connect my phone to it.
But then you can't use your phone.
Exactly. But you know how many times?
Have you stumbled on Instagram and that video starts playing in their room and you wake them? Oh no, Lou.
Yes. Oh my god, it's happened so. And sometimes when I'm watching my phone, I'm trying to like turn the volume up. Like, why can't I hear it? Because I'm all the way downstairs, and I'm like, why can't I hear
And
it?
then you're like
And
blasting.
I hear it from upstairs, like coming from their room.
Okay.
From my
Oh
room,
my
should I
gosh,
say.
you need a Yoto.
Yeah, I know. So I just need to basically completely overhaul their room, make it so sick, involve them in the process. And then am I literally going back to sitting by the bed padding and then like the next night being like a foot away and then in the doorway and like, am I doing that? Am I going back to those days? I think I am.
I think you are. But there's a saying that I'm living by at the moment, which is easy choices, hard life, hard choices, easy life.
It's true.
So the hard choice is doing maybe 3 nights of the padding and the slow exit ninja crawl out of their room for long-term gain.
Yeah. I know. I think I just have to settle in.
I think a Yoto would really, first of all, they would really suit the ages of your kids.
Yeah.
Because the majority of the cards on the Yoto website is catered to that age group. Like my kids have sleepy bedtime stories, like an abundance of them. I think we've got 3 different cards and each card has like many, many minutes of sleep stories.
Have we cancelled Roald Dahl? Because my kids are so into Roald Dahl.
Have we?
Well, I remember hearing recently that it was probably not, there were a few things that were a bit ableist.
I know, but that's from a time.
Yeah, I know.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to imagine anything that I've said on this podcast, and then let's fast forward to when Revs and I are 80 years old.
Yeah, there'll be something.
And then someone will be like, oh my God, I listened to this one-time episode where Revs
Was rude to her
pretend-
robot. ChatGPT.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And we're like, okay, but like, can we not evolve? Like,
Yeah.
I agree. It wasn't okay. Like, look, I don't know. Unless Roald Dahl from his grave is like, nope, I stand by that ableist comment. I just feel like,
Which
I
you
don't know.
probably would. But my God,
Unless
they're
I'm ignorant
good.
and I don't know enough, DLs, please correct me if I'm wrong and Roald Dahl is rightfully
sure-
cancelled. I don't know.
I'm sure that there's an example of something really bad that I just can't think
Okay.
of. But God, they're good. Fantastic Mr. Fox, the BFG,
Great
Charlie
one.
and the Chocolate Factory.
Witches?
Oh, that is so scary.
So scary. We've all got trauma from witches.
Oh, do you know, like, speaking of like, you know, sleeping in other people's beds, do you know that I slept on Kate's floor for 6 months because I was so scared of the movie It?
Oh,
I think everyone has It trauma, right?
hang on. How old were you when you watched it?
So we watched it at my friend's. It would have been like her 8th or 9th birthday sleepover.
Way too young.
So bad. Irresponsible parenting.
Yeah.
Like so bad.
Just would never happen now, would it?
Not in a million years. But I was so traumatized by that movie.
Yeah.
And I literally had a little mattress that I used to creep into Kate's room because our house then, our parents were like so far away. Me and Kate's rooms were really close together and I used to creep into her room, pull out her mattress, and sometimes I'd be so scared lying there knowing she was asleep that I would set her alarm to go off.
What do you mean?
Like I would like
set it to go off at what time?
She had this little alarm clock on her bedside table, and I'd set it off for like midnight. And
You
it would go off,
bitch.
and she'd be like, and I'd be like, oh,
Oh,
God,
she's
you're awake.
woken up.
Oh,
how weird! Hello, you
I know.
devil!
It never ends. But
Oh.
I was so scared. And lately TikTok has been serving me some spooky stuff and I can't sleep. Still at
Okay.
the age of 37.
First of all, you need to retrain that
I know,
algorithm
I
immediately.
know. It's hard not to watch though.
Yeah, I get it.
You know,
Doom
that thing's
scrolling.
happened.
Okay, you really need to work on your sleep hygiene.
I know.
Is what I'm getting
Do you
here.
know what is interesting though? So I had one of those whoops, those bands that you wear that tell you all about your health and like what affects your sleep and what doesn't. And it gives you like very really in-depth data about what does. When you fill out this journal every day, I did this before bed, I did this.
What were your learnings?
Well, mine was that my phone doesn't really affect my sleep at all. Like I can be on my phone until like right before I fall asleep and it doesn't really make a difference.
Versus, did you
Versus
compare
alcohol? Whoa.
Oh, really?
Like if you are having 2 drinks, you're not sleeping. Like you will not
Fascinating.
sleep like until probably 3 or 4 a.m. You're not getting down into those really good REM.
Question.
Yeah.
Do you get anxiety?
Not really, no.
Okay.
Unless
Because
it's
I've got a
like-
few friends who, if they drink, they stay up all night
Oh, no.
playing conversations that
No,
they
no, no, no,
had
no, no.
while they were drunk or tipsy or
No,
whatever.
no.
Okay.
No, but that was the big thing that made me think like, oof, okay, like even 2 drinks, which like a lot of people would be having that every night.
Of course.
And you're never actually sleeping. Or you're just like your quality of sleep is so poor.
Is that because of the sugar in
I think it is. I
booze?
think it is. And do you know why I know? Because one night I almost ate an entire tub of ice cream and it was the same thing.
Interesting. Story
So
checks.
I reckon it was the sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah, but isn't that fascinating?
That
'Cause,
is
like,
fascinating. Disappointing though about
I
the phone because you
know.
almost want the data to talk you out of doom scrolling right
I
before bed,
know.
but clearly it doesn't
Yeah.
impact your
Like,
REM.
No difference if I was scrolling or reading a book. Yeah. I know.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm gonna take that and run with it. But my sleep hygiene is horrific.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry to tangent for a second, but you just got me thinking about something talking about scrolling your phone versus reading a book. So we live in this hectic digital world. There's all these fears around how that impacts our children's mental health, whereas reading a book is considered this romantic version of a childhood. However, if your child has their head in a book and Auntie Kathy comes over and she's like, "Hi, Tommy, how you going?" It's still considered rude to not engage in chat because reading a book is still considered being somewhere else, anywhere but in the room. And I was like, God, it made me check myself because I was like, I do that. When my kids sit down quietly and read, I'm like, oh, how adorable.
gosh, do your kids do that?
Iggy does.
Oh
Rafa
my
not so much.
gosh.
Yeah, he loves a book. He's a little bookworm. His nickname is Sir Fax-a-Lot. He can't read, but he loves nonfiction books. Like if there's a book about whales, he will pour over
Are you
it.
for real?
Yeah.
Is he actually reading?
No, he's not reading, but he's
But like taking the book in, like
taking the book. Like,
pictures
for
in.
example, there might be a book on whales.
Yeah.
And it will have a picture of a basking whale, and then there'll be little images of like what it eats, and
Yeah.
then little images of what size it is compared to a car. You know what I mean? Like one of those infographic heavy pictures, yes, with writing, but he will pore over these books. And it's very cute because I guess my firstborn couldn't be less interested in books.
Yeah.
I romanticize it. Like
Yeah.
I go, how wholesome, how sweet. Whereas if he was on an iPad, I'm like, get off that
Yeah,
device.
that makes sense. I wonder if back in the day they were like, get off
that book. Right?
Auntie Kathy's here.
Yeah, I reckon they
Probably.
would.
I know there's this kid at Tommy's soccer training. There's this kid there every week, one of the older siblings, and he's always got his head in a novel. And I just think it's the cutest thing. It's
Is
so
it
sweet.
different?
I think it is.
I think it is too.
It's very different.
But
Like that commands your full attention. And that's what I'm most worried about for my kids. And to be honest, myself, I think my attention span is fried. I
Lou.
love TikTok so much. I'm done with Instagram, but I love TikTok, which is probably worse.
wow, you're
And-
like a true Zoomer, but you're not even.
I didn't even mean to be, but it's like,
Like I look at you and I'm like, damn, she cool.
do you not TikTok?
No, it's just
Oh,
not my
it's
medium of
so-
choice.
Oh, it's snacky. It's just so snacky.
Yeah, it's
Do you
not in my
Are you not
diet.
finding Instagram a bit cringe now and a bit like, like it's giving Facebook?
Oh,
It's
don't,
giving boomers on. And I
Lou,
don't you think the content has
don't.
just gotten so yuck? And it's not who you follow anymore. It's like what they think you want to see, which
But-
is so off the mark.
But wasn't that TikTok from the beginning?
Yeah, but TikTok knows me.
Does it?
TikTok
I'm
knows
pretty
me-
sure
knows me. I
TikTok's-
reckon somewhere out there in cyberspace, my TikTok and my chat GPT are best friends and they're talking to each other. They're gossiping about me behind my back. and
Okay,
they're
so
like,
why is your TikTok giving you Spookyville fucking doom
probably
scrolling
because
crap?
I'm watching it.
Oh,
You know,
so you've
and I'll
enabled
watch
it.
it like a couple of times too because it's so like scary that I'm like, oh God, did you see that? I know. Look, I'm doing it to myself.
Yeah, you're a punish.
I'm-
Sucker for punishment.
For real. But yeah, TikTok is so good, but it is frying my brain. I can feel it
So
happening in real
I
time.
have the TikTok app. I
I thought you were
rarely
going to
go
say,
into
I have
it.
the TikTok.
I have the TikTok, but I just rarely reach for it. I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
not in my diet.
My
at all.
advice to you would be don't start.
Okay.
It is a slippery slope. It's a gateway drug. Yeah, I barely open Instagram anymore. But
Really?
yeah. But
Okay.
don't go down that road.
All right,
'Cause
I'm
it'll,
not-
it'll get to know you way too quickly.
I don't have time for it.
I know you don't.
I really don't. So it's a hard pass. You know what I don't have time for?
What don't you have time for?
My newly discovered sister envy.
Oh, this is apt.
Yes, very timely
Yeah.
considering you are here on the mic.
And what do you mean by that?
Well, I'm not a particularly jealous person.
Mm-hmm.
I get jealous over dumb things like, oh my God, your kids don't sleep in your bed, you know, that kind of stuff. But very recently, as I'm getting older, I know I've overused the word romanticized, but I'm going to bring it up again. But I romanticize the bond of sisters. Sisters who are really close, who really do see each other as besties, who depend and rely and are there for each other.
What brought that on?
I don't know. No, I do know, actually. It was a recent conversation I had with Rachel Tagg, where
Love her.
love Rach Tagg, friend of the pod. She's our resident photographer as well here at the pod, Uber Talent. And Rach mentioned something about how she perceives me as a sister.
Oh.
And it touched me in a way that was very revealing, like brought me to tears. Because I obviously don't have a sister, and she herself does not have a sister. I've always had my mum. And interestingly, Rach Tagg has a very close bond with her mum as well. And so I guess I've always been like, well, I've got that. So I feel really lucky and grateful and privileged to have a very special relationship with my mum. But I do look to sisters who, like you and Revs, I've got other friends as well who have very close sisterly relationships. And I feel like, like I guess a
Makes you
sense of
missing out on
like a
something.
longing or a yearning for it. And so, of course, when Rach made this suggestion of sisterhood between us, I leapt on it a little too hard, a little too keen.
Should we change your surnames?
Should we forge this in blood? Quick!
Tag or Rooney?
Cut your finger. We need to be blood bonded. I know it's so weird, but I just and then it made me reflect on our friends' children and who has sisters and how lucky. And this is a gross assumption because nothing's a guarantee. I also have friends who have very fraught relationships with their own sisters, and I accept that. And I also remembered a conversation I had with a friend once who had a boy, and I want to talk to you about this as well, as someone who has 2 boys. She had her firstborn, who's a boy, and when she was pregnant with her second, she didn't find out the gender. And I said to her, how are you feeling about this second baby? Do you have any yearnings? You know, we have that close sort of I would never ask the average person that question, but I knew I could ask her. And she said, you know what? I hope it's a girl for me, but I hope it's a boy for my son.
Yeah.
And I was like, why? And she goes, because the brotherly bond. So it's a thing.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It is. Of course it is.
Now, what was your feeling when you had your 2 boys? Like, was there relief that they'll have each other? Would it be different if you had a girl instead of Max as your second born?
Yeah, and I guess like looking at my own experience as coming from 2 girls, sisters, it is special. It's not like any other friendship that I have in my life. It's not like any other relationship I have in my life in a lot of ways. But also like interestingly, I think that Kate and we probably are so tight sometimes that we even exclude my mum from some things. And I think there's a lot of, like, I know that my mum loves how tight we are for her own. Like, she's like, great, I'm so glad that they have each other. But I know that she also gets really pissed off at us sometimes because we're like, we can get silly and be like, we're like, oh, mum, like, you know, be rude, make jokes at her expense. And she sees it all and she's like, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
Like, and so, like, I think you probably have that relationship with your mum like as like a, you know, it's probably like a substitute for that super close family female relationship.
It's funny that you bring that up because when your sister had gender disappointment over Teddy, I used that exact scenario and I said, Revsy, Isla is going to be, and again, nothing's a guarantee here, okay?
I'm pretty sure we can safely say that.
We can safely say this. Isla is going to be your bestie for life in the same way that I'm, I guess, my mum's bestie or she's mine and we have each other and you are going to love that very unique and special relationship you have with her. Yeah. And then I said, think about how you and Lou are and how you gang up against your mum. And I can think of multiple sisterly relationships in my lives where they do. They gang up on their mum or they turn to their sister because you're more the same age, you relate to each other more. Yeah. And there is this sort of casual eye rolling or, oh, God, mum.
Not to say that we don't adore her.
Of course
and,
you do.
We each have a very special relationship with her independently of each other as well.
Of course.
Yeah, I was super stoked to have 2 boys. I always envisioned myself as a boy mum, but that aside, I was like, you know, the way that they wrestle with each other is so special. And
wait, what? Talk that up.
I'm sure
the way they wrestle with each other is so special. Unpack that for us.
Every night before bed, they wrestle. Do your kids do this?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
but it feels gentler somehow.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They fuck each other up quite badly. It almost always ends in tears. Yeah. Someone almost always gets hurt, but there's a lot of laughter and giggling. I've heard a million experts talk about how it's really important for dads to roughhouse with their kids. I hate the word roughhouse.
I like it.
Bad. Roughhouse with their kids.
Yeah, I feel like it says what it is.
Yeah, I guess so. And because my kids aren't with their dad for most of the time, they don't get that, but they do it with each other. And I'm not willing to roughhouse them. No. I'm just not. No. That's not my expertise. So
you're like, great, we can tick that box.
Exactly.
They've taken care of it
with each other. Yeah. They really go to town on each other. And I feel like it ties them up before bed. I definitely believe it strengthens their bond. They are having the best time when they're doing it. They're giggling and laughing. And then it always ends with a very red face.
Of course.
And
Max kicked me. Yeah, Tommy poked me in the eye.
It's always Tommy.
Oh, is it?
And that's how it ends. But I love it. And when they're doing that for like literally half an hour before bed, I'm sitting in the chair in my room scrolling or reading or finishing off some work or something, and it buys me an extra half an hour.
Oh, how
anyway,
good.
that's the super special part. And then, you know, they also fight like crazy. And I always say to them, when you grow up, guys, when you're adults, you are going to be each other's best friends. And every one of my guy friends has told me that. When I had two boys, like they're like, just wait, they will fight like crazy for the first 18 years and then they will be best buddies.
And you're helping to cultivate that by letting them have this time
100%.
together,
And like,
which is very special.
Yeah, and it is also special for me because they go between two houses. They are each other's constant and they have that like built-in constant that they don't have me all the time. They don't have their dad all the time. It's very special
always
that
have
they
each
are
other.
always together.
Yeah, that is special.
Really. But, you know, as far as like sisters goes, I think when you get older, it's such an interesting dynamic. So I've got a girlfriend who's like going through putting her mum into aged care at the moment, and it's kind of like all falling onto her as the daughter, but also the daughter who had like more of a connection with the mum. And
so is it causing tension amongst siblings?
Yes, massively.
Yeah, of course.
And you know, there's that kind of thing to think of as well. You know, traditionally that does fall on the girl.
It does.
Whereas,
and
like,
to this day it still does.
yeah, it does. And I think it's just the way that it happens. The girl just steps up. She cares more in most cases. This is a generalization, but we just come from a nurturing place and we want to look after
I
the
rust
people
on
around
my
us.
husband all the time because he is gifted with two very loving and caring sisters.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have to be like, this stuff can't fall on your sisters. You need to get in there and be
Keep
just
on
as
that.
helpful. And yes, because it's unacceptable to me.
It is.
And I get the feminist in me is like, no, this like just because you're the only son doesn't mean you get out of this stuff or you just rely on your sisters to handle this. Like they all work full time. Yeah. They've all got kids, the same amount of kids as you.
Yeah,
like you got to step up.
I also really hope that when I'm old and need help, like I hope that my kids, like I've got two boys.
Yeah.
Like I hope it doesn't fall to one of their wives. Say we've seen that happen before.
Yep.
Or you know, I hope that they are the ones to step up and help me out.
Of course.
Yeah.
Permission to talk about pigeon pairs for a second.
Permission granted.
Because I come from a pigeon pair. Why, thank you, Sister Lou. I just, you know, I have a very lovely relationship with my brother. There's so much mutual love and respect for each other. But I can't pretend for a second that I call him up like I would Revs or any of my girlfriends and have a chat about all the things, you know, from anything from like makeup recos to sex. Like I just would not have that kind of
I would hope not.
Conversation with my brother. Well, okay, let me ask you this.
Good point.
How deep do you go with your sister?
Good point, because I have conversations about both those things with Kate all the time and it's not even slightly awkward.
There you go.
But it would be awkward you having a conversation about sex with your brother, right?
It absolutely
Do you know
would
any
be.
brother-sister pairings where that would not be awkward?
I actually don't.
Yeah.
And do you know what? If any DLs have a
I'd
brother
love to know.
where they are like besties, and here's a caveat. They're not allowed to be gay. Okay? Because I do have a girlfriend whose brother is gay and they are besties like sisters. He's super flamboyant. You know, he's a gorgeous queen.
Oh, how fun.
Really fun. And they have such a special, but like he was a bridesmaid at a wedding kind of vibes, you know, like it was gorgeous. That doesn't count.
No.
I mean, cis-het male brother and you have that relationship. I want to hear about it.
I want to hear. I don't think it exists. I don't think it's a thing.
I don't think so either. And I think when I had a pigeon pair myself, I try not to project onto my two, like, oh, like Rafa didn't get a sister. I did not have gender disappointment at all. When I found out Iggy was a boy, I was very happy and felt very lucky to get to experience both genders. But now as she's older and I'm getting older and I've discovered these new like sister yearnings, I'm like, like I wonder if Rafa will feel that way. And to add on top of it as an extra added layer, she and Iggy are very different in their personalities, as are my brother and I. I'm making gross assumptions, but I feel like they will have a deep mutual love and respect for each other and care. That like I do for my brother, but I just don't know how that will unfold from a bestie chat catch up POV.
It probably won't. And I can see history just completely repeating itself for your family. I can see like, you know, you and your mum are so tight. I can see you and Rafa like that. I can see Iggy being a lot like Tim. He is so smart, isn't he?
He's a clever little kid.
He is like just like, he's always like into books and like
He's just
learning about
curious.
things. Curious
He's
about
very
the world.
curious,
Like he's going
yeah.
to be a scientist or something, isn't he?
I love it so much, but also it's very exhausting.
Yeah, that's why you need to. Well, I'm sure you do.
like
But you
the random facts that I have to nod through and pretend to care.
you can outsource that to a robot these days.
Well, he asks Alexa questions all the time, which is great because he knows now that I don't
He
have...
knows. Mummy doesn't want to know. Mummy doesn't have the answers.
I don't know what the life cycle of a blue ring octopus is. But he can ask Alexa that.
She
and then
knows everything.
he relays it all back to me.
Yeah.
It's very sweet, but also very fatiguing.
How good are the fun facts that your kids come to you with?
Are they good?
No, I got a really good one the other
Go
day.
on.
Do you know what the largest named number is? Not infinity, the largest named number.
I don't.
Googleplex.
It's called Googleplex.
Googleplex is the name of the number.
So this is where the word Google must come from.
It must be.
The origins of infinite number.
Yeah. But
Search
it's
engine.
It's not infinity because there's Googleplex
Okay.
plus Googleplex is that. Whatever.
But the
there's no
named
name
number
for that. But the largest named number
is Googleplex.
is
And
Googleplex.
question,
Yeah.
does Google come before Googleplex
Oh,
as a
it
number?
must.
I reckon it must.
Yeah. Google.
Fast. Okay, that is you know what? The day Iggy comes to me with a fact like that, my mind will be blown. I feel like your Tommy's got some smarts on him.
He does. It's a bit, it's kind of weird sometimes, to be honest. I'm like, where did that come from?
How good.
Where did that come from?
So DLs, I'm very interested to hear. Tell us more about the sisterly relationship, or, give hope to those who have mixed genders in their kids and the fact that you can nurture a closeness. I always look to those super close bonds between boys and girls. You have cousins who are brothers and sisters.
Yes.
Who are quite close in age. Are they super tight?
They are.
But not like you and Kate.
No. No. It's just not a thing.
It's
I
not
just
the
don't
same.
think it's a thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe I just need to have full acceptance of this.
But, I bet that you have closer female friendships, like.
I treasure them
Yeah.
like nothing
Yeah.
else.
And that's not to say that, obviously.
You do.
And obviously Kate does.
Well, I joke
But-
with your sister all the time that I have to share her with you.
Yeah. And
And
I
she-
have to share her with you, Jem. And we should fight to the death right here and now.
I think we should. Come on, mics aside. Let's stand off. We're going to fight to the death. Revs is going to return next week and see who's in the hot
Or
seat.
maybe we just cut her out.
Yes!
This is my new job.
Welcome to the pod, Sister Lou. But Lou, we've hit that time, the segment of the show where I ask you to hit me with your not spawn. I said, hit me with your not spawn.
Doot.
Woo, look at her go. She's all over
God,
it.
I've been waiting. I have so many, but I would like to tell you about Joe Dispenzer. He's this kind of like weird.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Sorry. Let me tell you about Joe Dispenzer.
Joe
Okay.
Dispenzer.
Yeah. So the
Not dispenser.
Joe
Dispenzer.
Dispenzer. So he's kind of like a new age kind of woo-woo kind of dude. A lot of the stuff he talks about, I'm not really buying. Like he talks a lot about quantum physics and using meditation to heal chronic illness. And there's a lot of I've listened to hours of podcasts with him trying to figure out what exactly his theories are. And I still can't quite get my head around it.
Quick question. What generation is he? How old is he?
He'd be Gen X.
Okay.
And he has these, he runs these retreats, right? Where he claims that people arrive in a wheelchair and by the end of the retreat are walking. That's kind of, yeah.
Okay. I'm
All
trying
right, so
really
it's a
hard to
little-
hold space for
You
this.
probably don't even need to hold space for that.
Okay.
However, he has these meditations and I meditate a bit and I could do a lot of breath work and stuff. And there's it puts you in a certain space. There's something about Joe Dispenzer's meditations that just put you in the deepest state of relaxation that I can possibly imagine.
How, where are we consuming this? Is it audio? Is it on YouTube?
It's on YouTube. You can buy his meditations, but I wouldn't bother. They're all the good ones are on YouTube. There's this one that I've been doing every morning, and it's called something like "Listen to this as soon as you wake up," and it's 23 minutes long, and I've been doing it. And it just your body, you feel tingles in places. You
Wow.
feel like you're floating. The relaxation is insane. You have to put up with a few of his weirdo affirmations in it. Like he's talking throughout it, and that can be a little bit like jarring. But if you just lean into it, it just puts you in this crazy state. There's something weird and magical going on about it.
Have you found it helpful for calming your nervous system? Like obviously you're going through a lot in your life at the moment. Are you seeking things like this out to help soothe you?
Definitely.
Okay.
And I do a lot of meditation, and like as anyone who meditates will tell you, it is the most helpful thing for meditation. I've also been like looking into manifestation, but like not in the magical way. It's more of like a way of gearing your mind towards seeing the good in life and seeing what is good for you and what you are grateful for. It's just a good way of living, basically.
I love this for you, Lou.
Yeah, no, it's
so
good. There's no $100 million isn't going to just land on your doorstep. But, you know, if you open your eyes to the good things around you, then, you know, you will just be a happier person. And that's just the truth.
I've got an important question.
Okay.
Where is Joe Dispenzer? He does dispense wisdom.
He does.
By the way. Where is he from? Is he American?
He's American. Of course he is.
I don't know
But
if I can listen to an American voice.
No. Give it a go.
Okay.
Give
I'm
it a
open.
go.
I'm being open.
Yeah. And you know how sometimes when you meditate, you have to like...
I don't know. I'm the wrong audience.
Well, this is probably why it's good for you, because
Okay.
there's a lot of like focus on your breath. If a thought comes, acknowledge it and send it away. Because he's talking to you the whole time, and he's kind of telling you like, I don't know, like lean into this, do this, think about this. You don't actually have to do any of the active like, I'm thinking about this. Like he's telling you how to do it. So it's very guided meditation.
Well, I've
So it's
always
easy.
known that if I was ever to really dip my toe into the world of meditation, that I would definitely be drawn to guided. Because I know that there are ones where it's like saying a repeated mantra. I'm not disciplined enough in my own brain to like just say one sound in my thought over and over. I need to be following someone.
Do you want to hear something crazy?
Go on.
This is so crazy. In a few weeks, I am going to Bali to do a 10-day silent retreat.
What? Wait.
I know.
Okay. Sorry. We thought the ep was nearing the end, but it's not. I need to hear more about this.
I booked it in like a moment of like desperation.
Are
to
you
be
going
honest.
solo?
Yeah. Just me.
Yeah.
To like the middle of Bali for 10 days, complete silence.
So I know that they host these in Australia in the Blue Mountains.
Yeah.
And there's no devices.
No devices.
No talking.
No talking.
But you're allowed pen and paper. Is that right?
Yeah. So this one you're allowed to read, and you're allowed to journal, and you can also exercise as much as you want. So like the one in the Blue Mountains is very strict. It's called a Vipassana. It's very strict.
Vipassana.
And you're like basically like you have to meditate all day every day. So that felt a bit extreme. This one is like incredibly cheap. Like I'm doing the whole thing for like $2,000.
Amazing.
I know.
For 10 days.
For 10 days.
So
I'll see if
good.
I make it. Look, to be honest, my biggest challenge is going to be not talking to the kids and worrying about them. I know.
I
I didn't consider that until after I'd booked it, and I was like, shit.
Can you send them photos?
I plan on giving them like notes to be handed out to them daily. And,
Can
like,
you also pre-record voice notes?
100%. Yeah. But I'll miss them.
You will.
I'm going to miss them a lot. But I think it's for the greater good. I keep saying I'm coming back a much, much better mummy than what I left. I'm going to have a lot more patience. And apparently it's like 10 years of therapy in 1 week.
Oh, I'm so excited for you, Lou.
Yeah, same.
I think we'll have to get you back on the mic to share your experience, because I'm so interested. I feel like I should save these questions for another time, but just quickly, obviously other people attend this retreat. Yeah. And no one's talking to each other.
And apparently that's really nice, to be around people, to be in the company of people without the pressure of having to make small talk or like even say hi.
Okay.
Like you're just kind of coexisting with people.
I have a friend who did Vipassana and I was like, fuck, I'm a podcast host by trade. Like I just don't know if I would be able to shut my mouth for 10 days.
Yeah.
I wouldn't dare challenge myself. But I remember that he said that he spent 5 hours looking at ants transport little cut up leaves, seeds on this pathway that he found himself sitting on. And I was like, what do you mean?
That sounds like hell.
What do you mean you watched ants for 4 hours?
Yeah.
But he's like, well, This was on day 4 of the 10-day retreat. And by that point, you've really relaxed into this. You kind of lose sense of time and you're very comfortable in it and okay with it, that you actually have to challenge the boredom.
Yeah.
And so when you find something slightly interesting, like an ant colony,
ants.
it's like, I'm going to write a whole narrative around ants. Anyway, it's fascinating.
Yeah, it will be fascinating. And back to the whole, like, you know, fried brain, TikTok, or sensory overload thing. I'm excited to see what that is like.
Do you have aspirations and goals to have a digital cleanse when you get back? Like, obviously you have a forced cleanse while you're there. It's like, you know, I've never done this, but you know, people who do juice cleanses, like if I were to do like a 10-day juice cleanse, I don't know if that's a thing, but if you were to, I would find it hard to put like crap back into my body.
I'm sure it'll be like a reset. I'm sure it'll be like coming back and being like, oh yeah, I don't need that anymore. I might just delete all my social media and become a social media free person. That is my dream. Can you imagine? Can you?
I actually cannot.
Yeah, I bet.
Can't.
Yeah. So
My
anyway,
whole job.
that's
But for you,
it'll be a reset.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, I'm excited for you, Lou.
for.
I will definitely get you to report back on that.
So what is your not spawn?
I would like a song.
Hit me with your not spawn. Come on. Hit me with your not spawn.
I can't even reach those bass.
I was an alto in
Dulcet
choir.
tone. Evidently. Meanwhile, this soprano over here. Have I got a not spawn for you? DLs, if anyone else has been fed this in all the ads, in all the digital places, candy claws. I got fed 7 too many ads and eventually they got me and I went, yeah, I'm going to do that. So
Are you wearing them now?
I am wearing them right now. If you're a YouTuber DL, you can see. What do you think?
Wow, I'm impressed. Yeah.
Thank you. So these are stick-on.
This is a real passion point for me.
Is it?
Manicures, yes. I've tried everything and that
And?
looks amazing. How long? When did you do those?
3 days ago.
And no chipping?
No chipping.
Wait, am I right? This is the stickers?
No, so this is the glue-on. They're stick-on.
Yeah.
But I've learned, because I've gone on a bit of a nail journey,
Yeah.
because just to segue for a moment, when Hubs and I bought this new house, obviously new mortgage, everything's leveled up financially.
No more nails.
Well, yeah, we've made a lot of lifestyle changes. One is like giving up coffee. Oof, I know, but making it at home.
Yep.
You know, I've actually gotten into matcha. It's $2 a sachet,
so
which is
good.
way cheaper than a $6 matcha coffee. Anyway, so giving up coffees, but also giving up nails, because in any nail session, if I do my hands and toes, we're talking $80 for what really is kind of 2 weeks of like good nails and then they're shit. So I haven't had my nails done in 2025. And I always thought I'm going to get them done for tour. But then, of course, we've done AV filming week and I wanted to have nails for the content we shoot on screen. But I looked up candy claws. It's $30 a pack. I'm told they last 2 weeks.
We shall see.
Someone I know who uses them said hers last 3 weeks, which I was like, well, that's amazing. And they were so easy to apply. It's just like you get this little tube of glue, not that dissimilar to like if you've ever applied false lash glue. You apply it to the nail bed and then you apply it to the nail, let it wait a little bit for it to get tacky, then you just stick it on.
I
And
can't
honestly,
believe that.
I hold it for 10 seconds as you would a GHD or if you're tonging your hair for 10
And
seconds.
it's already coloured. You've got the
Done.
colour on there
Well,
already.
this is what I liked about candy claws is the color range is it's like cool. Like they've got
Okay.
cool seasonal colors. They get what's on trend. Whereas if you buy like from your local chemist stick-on nails, they're a little bit daggy.
Yeah,
they're
they're too thick. But I've been eyeing your mani off while we've been recording this,
And
and
little
I'm
did
like,
you know-
I had no idea, and they're really nice.
I know. And I've got more to say.
Yeah.
Aside from the cool colors, you can choose your shape. So you can choose extra short. The length I'm wearing now is just short. They do oval shape. They do almond shape in every color.
Do they do like the Chloe coffin shape, the almond, I should call it?
Yes,
Yeah.
they do almond shape. So basically it's like you pick your color and then you pick your shape.
Okay, I'm
So
gonna try it.
I bought 2 packs. I bought like the classic glazed donut. I haven't tried that yet, but right now I'm wearing, it's called cherry.
I love it. I'm
very
gonna try
into
it too.
Dark cherry.
I can't wait to see how long they last.
I will keep you posted.
Okay,
And
so
also,
when you say $30 a pack, is that one set?
well, no, you could get 2 sets out of it because they give you so many nails in all the different sizes because there's they can't assume what size your nail is.
Yeah.
I've learnt, got quite skinny nail
Teeny
beds.
tiny little nails. Yeah.
Like I was using all the little ones, but if I wanted to, I could use the bigger packs,
I love this.
you know, and get a second run of them.
Cool. I'm going to try too.
And not only that, if you pull them off, from what I understand, and pull the glue off, you just need more glue and you reuse them.
Okay, amazing. I'm
Right?
sold.
Sold. Anyway, add to cart, ladies and gentlemen. Candy claws.
All right, and I think that's all we have time for today. Is that right, Jem?
Yes, that's right, Lulu. Do you want to say our sign out?
Uh,
And as always, we'll be back in
I
your
promise
ears.
I listen every Tuesday at 9 a.m.
Come on.
And as always, we'll be back in your ears on Friday for a Bestie hotline. Or if you're a subscriber, we'll be back this Thursday for more time for this.
And DLs, it's more time with Sister Lou.
Ah.
We are going to be diving deep into ADHD because we are both diagnosed, and at different stages of our journey, I had a lot of questions for Lou.
I got a lot of questions for you too.
So much perspective needed from your longer experience of ADHD.
Veteran over here.
You are a vet while I am very much still a rookie. Anyway, we love you, DLs.
Bye.
Bye-bye.